Am I the asshole for asking my mother to stop saying give me the D and I need the D? This isn't anything major that I did, but my sister thinks I shouldn't have said anything. Anyway, on to what happened. My mom loves to abbreviate things, she thinks it is fun. She also loves to golf. She says things like you have a BO, meaning birdie opportunity, FISA, meaning F_I'm still away, and a few others as well as a bunch that have nothing to do with golf. For those of you who don't golf on a regular basis, knowing your distance from your target is important on every shot. I recently purchased a laser rangefinder which you can use to find the distance to any target. Well, in turn, my mom keeps saying to me give me the D, I need the D, and various other versions of that which don't sound as salacious. My mom is in her 60s, she has no clue what the D is in modern youth culture, it means the dick, but it was making me a little uncomfortable and was really awkward when she said it when we were playing with other people. The other day when I was playing with my mom and my sister I asked her to stop saying that and informed her what it meant and sounded like. My mom was a bit embarrassed and was fairly quiet for the next 20 or so minutes. She is never quiet, but after a couple of holes everything was back to normal. After the round my sister came up to me and said I shouldn't have said anything and should have just left it alone. I thought I picked a good time because she wasn't around anyone but her own kids and was trying to prevent future awkwardness. Ida? Am I the asshole for bringing my own water to another person's house? Whenever I go out, I bring a 22 ounces glass bottle filled with tap water from my home that easily fits into my purse. I do this mainly because I find the taste of bottled water and tap water from anyone else's house disgusting. It's not really an issue when I'm out in public, but I recently went to a casual dinner party at a family friend's house and when I was offered a glass of water I said I was okay, and held up the bottle that I was about to drink out of. Another guest, 60+ F, took me aside later and told me that I was incredibly disrespectful of my host and I should have accepted the drink rather than bringing my own. She also said hiding my bottle in my bag was the same as bringing my own snacks to eat instead of the food our host had prepared. Was I TA? Edit. I don't live on a well. We have a decent water filter and even my siblings agree that the water in our house tastes better, but they're not as weird about this as I am. My aunt lives down the street but there's a difference in the way their water tastes. Other sources of water just taste weird to me and I prefer not to drink it unless I'm dying of thirst and I've run out of my own, on vacation for example. The only comments I've gotten before are that it's a little weird to carry a bulky bottle around all the time but I don't mind it. Am I the asshole? If I told a close family friend that her husband cheated on her 4 years ago? So my situation is a little difficult so I thought I would confide in the good professional people of Reddit. Couple days ago me and my brother were hanging out late night doing regular guy things, drinking, watching sports, etc. We haven't seen each other in maybe 5 to 6 years so naturally we started talking about life and what's been going on the past few years. Towards the end of our conversation we started to get to the secrets. I mentioned something along the lines that I smoked weed for the first time and did various other substances. This was hard for me to tell because my whole life I was pretty much anti-drugs and such. We both laughed about it saying just don't let mom find out. The joke died out after a little bit and then he just blurted out I cheated on my wife. At first it didn't register until I saw his face and he was dead serious. I for one hate cheaters, but I try to do my best not to judge anyone for their actions. He begins explaining this was something that happened about 4 years ago when his wife was always busy with work. She would travel a lot and be away for weeks at a time. He told me they were going through a tough time back then, lots of arguing, not communicating, and that he felt really lonely. During this same time my brother met a girl at his local gym, started off as friends, slowly kept bonding and you guessed they did the sex. He told me this occasion only happened once and pretty much cut her off after that night because he started to feel guilty for a short while. Few months later his relationship turned for the better for him and his wife. Pretty much after his wife's travels slowed down his whole relationship has been great. They've both gotten promotions, bought a house, more family vacations. They have a kid. He told me life has been good to him now and he's just thankful things have finally worked out. As stated before, I hate cheaters and I've always felt that the person being cheated on always has the right. No. I know for sure this would probably destroy their marriage and there would be a fight for the kid. My heart tells me I have to tell her because it's the right thing to do, especially because I've known my brother to cheat one other time on an ex-girlfriend couple years before his current wife. My brain tells me it's none of my business and I should keep my mouth shut. I don't want to see their kid go throughout that kind of pain either. On one hand I betray my brother if I say something, on the other hand I betray our close family friend because I know this secret and I don't say anything. I wish he never told me. Ignorance is truly bliss. So there it is, Wibta if I said something, TLDR, brother cheated on his wife years ago because he was depressed, now everything is better and he told me about it, but now I feel obligated to tell his wife because she's a close friend. Wibta, edit, I'm referring Sil as close family friend because my family and her family have known each since elementary school days and thus are very close lol. I thought this iteration would make the relationship sound stronger than just Sil, but it looks like I was wrong. Second edit, wow this is on the front page, I never intended nor expected this blow up as it did. I'm sorry I can't reply to everyone, but there will be some kind of update. rAmItheasshole for quitting a job my mother got me because it bothers my child. Okay, so for more info. About a year ago my mom pulled some strings and got me a pretty well-paying job with friends of hers. The catch was that the schedule was overnight. But my mom was able to keep my son during those hours and it was only part-time, but I was making enough to support us on 3 nights a week. It was a sacrifice but a good deal. Well, as the year progressed I was promoted a couple of times and got a decent pay raise and a lot more time at work, putting us square in the comfortable category but meaning that my child is having to sleep with relatives 5 nights a week. My son hates this. Yes, most of the time it's grandma's and he has his own bed there. But he really hates it. He wants to be at home with his own mom, where he belongs. He has gotten to where he is begging me to get a new job and telling me over and over all he wants is more time with me. If it matters, I'm a single mom. My son lost his dad and siblings a few years ago because of divorce and abuse, long story. So yesterday, as my child bearing his soul again that he hates when he can't stay with me, I made a decision and I turned in my 2 weeks notice at work. I found another job. It will be a lot less money. But my son and I will be 100% together outside of school and work, and those shifts will happen at the same time. Every dinner, every bedtime, every evening is ours. My mom said Ida because A, she got me that job. B, I'm giving in to the wants of a 7-year-old. C, I should put financial security over emotional security. D, I'm not acting like a parent. So, any questions? Ida? Am I the asshole? For saying thank you to a light-skinned comment? I'm a 21 African American female. I'm pretty light-skinned and I spend a lot of money to maintain my complexion and skin tone. I have a lot of dark-skinned friends. I was out with the girls one night and some of their friends and one of them said, "Wow, you're so light-skinned." My response was thank you. It was more of an involuntary response as I'm used to people complimenting me on my skin. She immediately replied, "That's not a compliment." The other girls began looking at me weird, and giving me bad looks. I said, "Oh sorry, it's just a habit," and the moment passed. Later on, one of them approached me and said being a black light skin shouldn't get to my head and make me feel better than other people. Ida? Am I the asshole? For calling out my pregnant sister? 3 years ago my sister had her first kid. She became one of those you need to praise me because I have a child types, but at the same time she shit talks her kid constantly and seems to hate every aspect of having a kid. Which is why she made her husband hire a full-time nanny. I avoid her whenever it's possible but I can't always escape. Now she's pregnant again and her attitude is nastier than ever. Everyone just laughs at whatever absurd shit she says because it's the hormones. Well, while we were at a cousin's birthday party she was going on about how hard her life was at the moment because being pregnant and caring for another child was a thankless job and no one appreciated her for it. Everyone obviously started praising her and giving her compliments while I just snorted to myself, which she noticed even though I barely made a sound. This was her cue to achieve full victimhood and she just went, "One day you'll know how hard it is and I'll be there to see it," to which I replied, "When you fire your nanny you'll know too." She just became hysteric and started screaming at me that I was undermining her and calling her a bad mother. That I was an awful person to even say something like that to someone in her state. That I was putting her life and the life of her child in danger just to feel good about myself. At this point I was just over it and went to apologize to my cousin and left the party while she kept going on and on with the screaming and crying. Since it was a public thing, everyone in the family saw what happened. Now I am being bombarded with messages and calls from everyone in the family telling me to apologize and to be more conscious. They're calling me heartless and a sociopath because I should have been more mindful of my sister's state. I believe I didn't do anything wrong. She was just as awful before the pregnancy, so there's nothing new or mysterious about her behavior now. Edit. I know that raising kids is difficult and sometimes you need to get help. I don't judge that and you should get that help. My issue with my sister's situation is that she completely delegated my niece to the nanny. The nanny is not a help for her, the nanny does her job. As for people asking about her pregnancy, she's 6 months along, she and the baby are healthy and there are no issues along. Am I the asshole? for not bringing up a coworker's pregnancy, so I started working for a new office in May and everyone seemed nice. About a month and a half and I noticed that one of my coworkers who I worked pretty closely with looked bigger. Then as time went on it was more so her belly that looked bigger. Not to be rude, but she was already kind of on the heavier side when I first started, but it did get to a point where I am nearly positive she was pregnant. The thing is, I've been raised to never being up another woman's pregnancy until they mention it first. God forbid you are wrong about something like that. For the last few weeks I've been on the lookout for little clues from her or other coworkers talking about it, but I've heard nothing. Finally one day, we are imming each other about work things. I bring up that I'm going to be away for a few days and ask if she can do one of the tasks I've absorbed from her older responsibilities. She says of course, and then I ask her if she has any travel plans coming up. She says she will be out when the baby comes. I give her a big congrats and she says she thought I knew because she's discussed it several times with me. The thing is, she totally has not. I know mommy brain is a thing, so I just let it go and say I'm sorry, I don't recall. She has been weird with me for a week over it. I can kind of get why she might be upset. In her mind she probably thinks that I think she is way fatter than she actually is and that probably doesn't feel great. Should I have just chanced it and brought up her pregnancy once I was almost positive?